need to buy yourself a gun.
What?
A gun.
What?
Like a handgun for personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you.
What?
What if your government tries to throw you in a camp?
What?
You're gonna want a shotgun.
Oh.
What? An automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo.
Gun?
Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Check for the cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension fund. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag them through the streets.
It is Tuesday. It's primer time. I am live. My name is Michael.
I'm Nick. And
What's going on, dude?
Doing well. Michael, we got a special guest with us tonight.
Hey,
Bring him on.
guys.
Go ahead, Michael, introduce him.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, we have a very, very good friend of the show, Mr. Captain Gringo.
How you doing, Michael? How you doing, Nick? Thanks for having me on tonight.
Not a problem. We're doing good over here.
It's great to have you on.
And it's great to be on, guys. Been a while since I've been on with you guys, and heck, we all moved to the new time slot. It took me a minute to get caught back up and try to catch you guys.
Yeah, we're trying to keep the modern listening agencies on their toes.
Got to do what you can.
We don't send them the email update.
Yeah, they weren't on our Christmas card list this year. Yeah, so guess what? We had that white stuff that falls from the sky, and it wasn't the Colombian Bang Bang.
I'll tell you what, we got the north wind kicking through again, and it's pretty chilly right now.
Yeah, it was funny. We had snow on top of the vehicles when I woke up this morning, and then
That's not where it belongs.
yeah, well, it belongs up in the sky, but not so much down on the ground. And by the time I got to work and came home, it was already 60 degrees in the afternoon. So we're at that weird point of time where you just never know what you're going to get.
Where it's parkas in the morning and Bermuda shorts in the afternoon.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's today's been pretty much warm clothes all day long. So,
Yeah.
as it was over the weekend, where I went to a gun show.
So let's hear about it. What did you do? What did you see?
I'll tell you what. It was down at the county fairgrounds, and it was a pretty big exposition hall. They had 2 rooms open for it. Admission was $7, no parking fee. I would say that there was about 600 tables, and it wasn't real impressive, but it was a lot better than the last show I'd went to. Prices have seemed to come down on the brand new items, and I would say they're within 10% of the pre-rush pricing.
Right.
Except for 22 long rifle. That's still right about 10 cents a round, 8 to 10 cents a round. And on the used side, those seem to be gaining in price.
Okay.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I can see it.
So did you see anybody that had anything on their table that was not a dealer, but like a private seller that was bringing anything interesting to the show, or was it pretty much all just, hey, this guy's a dealer, and prices are out of reach again?
There was a lot of interesting things. I did see something that you might laugh, but it had been a long time since I'd seen one. But there was a Lorson 9mm, and I'd just forgotten how large that pot metal was. It's really a large pistol for being. I think they were $129 brand new, and so it was kind of neat seeing one of those old kind of junker pistols. There was really nothing there that caught my eye, other than the fellow that's got the table full of old high powers and old Mauser pistols and old World War II small arms.
Yeah.
But everything else, it was acres and acres of polymer. Every incarnation of 9mm or 380 or 40 caliber pocket pistol that you could think of, and with a polymer frame.
Right. Well, polymer is it's a sign of the times, that, or it's a sign that people don't know how to maintain metal without it rusting.
What was that line in the movie Graduate? I suggest you go into plastics, Jimmy.
Yeah. There you go.
Ruger 1022 looked to be about $300 uniformly everywhere new. I know that you can get one at Walmart significantly cheaper than that, but Walmart seems to never have them in stock.
Yeah.
Well, 1022s are popular, man. As a matter of fact, I saw one this weekend that somebody customized an Archangel stock or whatever, I guess, which would make it illegal, of course, in a lot of states or some states, but it makes it look like an AR-15 or something, but pretty neat little setup. I mean, it's got quad rails and everything on it, so you can put all kind of fancy attachments on it for chasing those pesky rabbits around the garden.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think in California they banned a Archangel stock alone. They just think it looks sinister, and
well, it's got the prohibited features. It's got the pistol grip. It doesn't have the bullet button feature on it. It's capable of, I think the Archangel stock is actually capable of taking a bayonet, which I think is kind of funny. I think one of those Archangel kits for the 1022 actually comes with its own little bayonet. What was the price that you saw on that one, by any chance, if you recall?
It was a Christmas gift to the fellow I went hunting with this weekend, my cousin. So I don't know what it cost, but she was buying me more toys for it, and while we were out hunting, she was out shopping for more toys for it.
Wow.
That's kind of neat. That's what that little thing is built for, is to, get every one of the $39.99 Chinese tactical items and jam it onto those rails on it. That's exactly what that thing is built for.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I did manage to get some Christmas gifts, and one of them was hunting / firearms related. And it was a really, really nice blaze orange vest with some ammo holders and some deep pockets, and I thought that was really, really a nice thing my wife bought me. So pretty happy with that, and I'll be able to go ahead and take it out hopefully for the one of the last 2 weeks of general season for deer this year. So what's left of this year and going into next year. That's
pretty nice. That makes you third rule safe.
It does. And while I was there, it was at the local Gander Mountain. Went ahead and took a look at some of the shotguns they had on the shelf, which wasn't much, and then also got a chance to take a look at some of the handguns that they had on the shelf. Specifically looked at the Ruger LC9 with and without the Crimson Trace. Without was $421 and with was $450. We did look at a
$30 for the Crimson Trace.
Yeah,
every penny.
Yeah,
I'd take that. I'd take that.
And then went ahead and looked at the smaller caliber with the Ruger SR22, which my wife seemed to like the grips on that. However, just the
It's 22.
That was the deal killer there. She did look.
I do like the way the SR22 feels in my hand as well. It's kind of compact. It's got a good solid feel to it, and it does feel the grip fills the hand fairly well.
Right,
and
she was comfortable with it too, and that was one of the things that she just kept going back to it. She said, it feels real comfortable in my hand, and I said, well, that's great, but it doesn't do a whole lot in terms of putting somebody down.
Yeah.
So, from there we moved on to looking at the Springfield XD. We looked at the
Too big.
Yeah, Smith & Wesson M&P, and then
we
also looked at a Walter. So
which Walter?
I think the P99.
Too big again.
Yep. So my wife kept coming back to the SR22, and I kept having to bring her back to reality. So she's going to go ahead and continue searching for something that hopefully fits the hands a little bit better, and we'll see what we can come up with.
Like the SR22 is a really nifty idea, especially if you've got another SR series pistol from Ruger. The controls are all in the same place. It's almost what is it? It's 2/3 scale, and it's really a handy thing to train with. It's not the I don't know. It's a first generation Ruger semi-auto pistol,
right?
And Ruger doesn't have a really good track record on that.
Yeah,
and that's not a knock against Ruger, because really every Ruger product I've ever had has been excellent, and their customer service is top notch. And if let's just take a look at the P series revolver or semi-auto pistols that Ruger made. Those started in 1986. They came out with the P85, and the P85 was a great pistol. It's a number one shooter that goes bang every time, and it is priced right to fit in the American man's hand. And they had a problem with the decockers on the first 50,000 of them or something, to where when you actually use the decocker, it actually discharged the pistol.
Ooh, that's not good.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, so there's always a little ding like that. Otherwise, those Ruger P series pistols, you would not be ill served by one.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think that when it comes to something that's going to be comfortable for her, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the Ruger line. I'm going to just have to try and work on her with the LC9, because I'm pretty sure that's what she was shooting when you and I went out, Michael.
That's right. She did shoot my LC9. She did enjoy that. LC9 is kind of interesting, and this brings to light two kind of issues I've got right now. It seems that Ruger makes one design and then makes 50 different iterations of that design, and the LC9 is one for an example. They started off with the LC9. Now there's the LC9S. Now there's the LC9S Pro, and each one either adds another feature or takes away another feature to the basic design.
Right.
And I think that's almost counterproductive. I think they should look at one design and make that design work.
Yeah.
The LC9S Pro is a striker fire, just like the LC9S, but it eliminates the safety on the frame. It actually makes it a trigger only safety, very similar to a Glock.
Yeah, I was going to say that's almost a Glock in that same configuration.
I'll tell you what, I did pick up a Glock 42 at that show, which is the little 380 ACP Glock in single stack.
Right.
And Glock is missing out if they don't make that thing in a 9mm.
Well, that's one of the things. I think a lot of people start to get hung up on, which generation Glock you have. The way I look at it is, it's the same polymer frame with small minor changes.
No, this is completely different. This is a single stack. It's very slim, very, very slim. It's not as big as like a 19 or a 22 or something like that.
Right.
It's all the LCP numbers and couldn't stand it. They want a piece of the pie.
Exactly. I think so, because Ruger's LCPs have sold like crazy.
Right. Oh, man, the ladies go crazy for them. And that's one thing, Nick, listen to you about your wife and a pistol. Those key words a while ago is she felt comfortable with it, whichever one she ends. And I know I don't have to tell you this, but the one she feels comfortable with, that's the one you want her to have, because that's the one she'll carry, and that's the one she won't be scared to shoot, And I hate to say it, even if it is a 22, a lot of times with a woman with a pistol, it's the noise that is the deterrent as much as the round hitting anybody. It's making that son of a gun duck and run and drawing attention. And putting the round on target is key also. But don't discount a 22 or a 22 mag even. Son of a gun, 22 mag's a vicious little round.
Well, and I agree with you in a certain regard, except for the fact that when there's somebody out there that's intending to do harm, they have it in their head that there's a certain chain of events that's going to play out, and they're mentally prepared themselves to go ahead and be ready for whatever consequences part of them doing their actions are going to bring. And in that regard, my wife and I had the conversation of, well, why don't I just head shoot him? And I said, if you can do that while being A, scared, B, fumbling for your weapon, and then, just not even having the reaction time, because it's all about muscle memory. I said, if you could do that, you're a better shot than I am. And I've been handling firearms for quite a while. And I said, I can do headshots, but that's after extended practice, and that's developing the muscle memory that I know that I need to have that firearm at a certain position in my hand, bring it up within a certain amount of time, and be able to put off an aimed shot. That right. Takes some practice.
Most certainly, and that's one thing too. With a woman's pistol, those Crimson Trace you were mentioning a while ago, man, I really like those on a lady's pistol too. It's just that little extra confidence they have, that they know that it's going to be in the vicinity of that red dot. Maybe not right on that red dot, but in the nearby vicinity. And just that confidence that seems to give a woman, or a man for that matter, no need to be sexist about that, but shoot, man, that's goes a long ways. Especially with somebody that's not as familiar with weapons as others,
Yeah, certainly. And that's one of the things that Michael and I hit on almost every week is, the familiarity that you have with your firearm is only going to serve to do the job that you needed to do when you need to do it, and in a situation not of your choosing. So you go out there to the range, you practice, you get familiar with that firearm, you get familiar with magazine exchanges, you get familiar with pulling from a holster, all those different things that you could think of as far as what situations you may be in when you might have to use it. We have that axiom, a pound of sweat saves a pound of blood. So I believe in that.
Oh, most certainly.
Well, in everything I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it's like he said earlier, it's muscle memory at that point. It's a reaction. It's not a planned thing. It's not something, I need to take my time and make a good shot here. It's exactly. Muscle memory at that point.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that when, you have the conversation with somebody who doesn't have the level of familiarity with the firearm that you do, and you don't want to come off as the a-hole about it, but you basically have to temper that train of thought and say, hey, look, it's a wonderful idea to be able to use a 22 long rifle in a pistol and be able to discharge it effectively and have it hit the intended target in the intended space. I said that, you hear stories about people being able to put down assailants, but 9 times out of 10 they hit them with 2 or 3 rounds, but they fired the entire magazine. So being able to do it effectively and with 1 or 2 shots, that takes practice.
Yeah, well, no doubt about it. Heck, look at these so-called professional cops when they go on these shooting sprees. Heck, they'll expend 40 shells, between 2 cops, no problem.
Yeah. you know, we even had that problem in the military. You know, there are plenty of officers out there that, while they may be good at their jobs, have absolutely no business holding a rifle or a pistol.
Man, I'm glad to hear you say that, Nick, because, you know, man, some of the videos I've seen on YouTube and was it Live Leak or whatever, some of our soldiers overseas shooting, and it just, man, son of a gun, who taught these guys how to shoot? You know, they're not acquiring targets, and they're just blazing through rounds. I don't want that guy with me.
Yeah, certainly not. Certainly not. Well, one of the opportunities I did have this weekend, was telling you, I got a chance to go hunting with some very generous and gracious folks, about an hour 20 minutes south of where I live. They took us out on a series of deer drives, and two guys in our party actually walked away with two about 2-year-old spiker bucks. So you know, that good job on them, and they were firing. One was firing 12 gauge with buckshot, and another one was firing a 20 gauge slug. So had an interesting opportunity to see what a 20 gauge slug, and this is why the Barnes folks, that is a devastating round.
I like Barnes ammo. I really like Barnes ammo. I keep Barnes ammo in a 357. It's usually a full copper bullet, and with a really nice hollow point to it, and it's still got good weight, and it's quality ammo, but it's pricey.
Well, I'll tell you this: the mushroom effect was perfect. I would say that near 99% weight retention. This thing didn't splatter, but it turned around, looked like the center of a rose. When we pulled it out of the deer, that thing had just opened up perfectly, and it ended up getting lodged in the neck bone. So it was shot as the deer was running past. It went just through the last two ribs, traveled up through basically where the heart and lungs area is, and then got lodged in the neck. And that thing did a wonderful job. Deer dropped on the spot, didn't even run.
I reckon not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, white-tailed deer have a significant amount of oxygenated blood, and they can run after they've been hit. But this one was just a massive energy dump, 100%, and there was nothing this deer could do. It just maybe kicked a little bit on the ground because of nerves. But the other gentleman went ahead and put a deer down with some double-aught buck, and he was within about 25 yards of that one. And yeah.
Now, how did the double-aught buck? And that was a 20 gauge as well, or was that a 12 gauge?
No, that was a 12.
Okay, now how did that work?
He basically got, I want to say he got 4 out of the 9 balls, the 9 bearings into the deer. And he said it knocked the deer right off its feet.
That's pretty impressive because, you know, a double-aught buck pellet is about 32 caliber bullet.
Right. And, you know, when we went ahead and did the skinning and the quartering all right there, right around the ribs area, you could see 4 distinct areas where the trauma had occurred, and did its job. So, you know, good on these guys. Interesting side note about these deer. Out here in this area, we have something called epizootic hemorrhaging disease, and it's a bacterial infection that affects some of these whitetails, and it makes their hooves kind of flake apart. You know, these were both survivors from the previous year. And one of them was a full spike, and the other one was a spike with a small, you know, the small kicker on it. But when we opened these deer up, there was one deer that had quite a bit of tumors on the inside. So that was interesting. And then
tumors.
Yeah, there were some tumors there. And then secondly, the back straps on these deer were almost non-existent. Even though there was no fat on these deer at all. So one of the things that we were looking at is, you know, had these deer been previously shot with anything? and we didn't come up with anything, but injuries and illnesses take their toll, and we're not seeing near the number of deer kills that had occurred last year.
Wow, interesting.
So, in your area, I think you guys have maybe two more weeks of general rifle season. We're about that much where we're at, and some of the counties here don't allow center fire, so it's shotgun only. That's mostly why I've been able to go out there and use the 20 gauge slug guns. So it's a different thing for me, but it's actually kind of nice.
Gringo had the opportunity to go out and harvest a little bit of meat himself this weekend.
Yeah, sure did. Got fortunate enough to be able to take my son over to my cousin's lease, about an hour south of San Antonio there, and a ranch I've never hunted before. He has about 500 acres leased there, and it's Texas, so he's got some deer feeders set up and stuff, and I was fortunate enough I harvested one sow, about 125 pounds, used a 22 Hornet, and hogs here in Texas, of course, you can go out and shoot them at night. We were out there at night, and she's about 100 yards away, quartering away shot her in the heart. She ran about 75 yards or so, and but man, that 22 Hornet, my son shot one. That was his first deer rifle when he was growing up, and what a vicious round. Son of a gun. I grew up hunting with a 218B, but man, that Hornet, I have full confidence in it out to 150 yards, I guarantee you.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you got to be careful about your locality. Some places have a minimum caliber. I know out here you can't hunt anything less than a 23 caliber. So all these guys that are 22 mags and 22 long rifles can't do them.
Well, that's a rim fire, but so a 22 250 and a center fire would not be allowed in your county?
Yeah, in our locality they can't. Yeah.
Or 222. Wow.
Yeah, it has to be it has to be 23 caliber or higher. So they basically cut it off at a 243.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. I've harvested countless animals or deer, with a 218B and 222.
Yeah, and I think the reason they do it is it's the 22 Magnum and the 22 long rifle has long been known in these parts as the poacher's gun. So it's loud in a certain sense, but you can do some damage right up close.
Oh, and, most certainly.
Yeah. So that's one of those things that I think is it's a holdover from prior administrations. And speaking of administrations, here in my state, the governor is going to go ahead and try and make this next year count in terms of gun control. So
he's thinking of the children, obviously.
Obviously,
demanding a plan for common sense reform that everybody can agree with.
That's right. Everybody can see the wisdom in. So one of the things that's actually getting pushed here in our House of Delegates is going to be a bill that's basically makes a Class 2 misdemeanor for anybody that transfers a firearm without conducting a background check.
Now, that sounds really nice and pretty on the outside, but let's take a look at Washington State, where they've just recently passed the I-94 initiative, which is comprehensive background checks. Now, we were just speaking about hunting, and gentlemen, what's the rule in hunting when you are crossing a fence, for example?
Never cross a fence with a loaded weapon.
There you go.
So if there's two guys, what would you do?
You would basically put your weapon on safe, hand it to your partner, cross the weapon back.
And you would have committed a felony in Washington.
Yep, certainly. So that's one of those things that I think a lot of legislatures, a lot of legislators, they are so against having firearms or just even being around them that they lack the common sense necessary when they start sponsoring legislation, because they don't take into account things like that.
Well, Nick, I've got some interesting information here. Coming out of Town Hall Magazine, Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms has come up with a list of the top 10 anti-gunners for 2014. And, Shannon Watts, from Moms Demand Action and Gun Sense in America, and whatever they decide to name it next week, she's on the list. We've got Eric Holder, criminal attorney general Eric Holder. He's on the list. Nick Hanauer, he's a Seattle area billionaire who launched the I-594 initiative and poured $1 million into it. Bill Gates, who put $1 million into 594. Rahm Emanuel, who could very possibly be future president of the United States in as vice president to Hillary Clinton. Andrew Cuomo is on that list from the great state of New York. Hillary Clinton, of course, is on the top 10. Steve Ballmer, another donor to 594.
He's the owner of, I think, what was it? The team, the L.A. Clippers.
The Clippers.
He just bought them.
And Paul Allen, from Microsoft and owner of the Seattle Seahawks and Portland Trailblazers, put more than $500,000 into the I-94 campaign. But of course, once again, the number one guy is Bloomberg. But honorable mention, Nick, just for you, is Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe.
There you go. Yeah, you got to get on the list somehow, right?
I don't know. I find it funny. I remember during the rush, Cuomo's, I think maybe it's his grandson, the guy who's the correspondent for NBC.
You mean the network that nobody watches?
Yeah, that one. I can't remember what his name is, but he's a Cuomo, and he's a reporter for NBC, and they were talking about, why do you really need an assault rifle? Why can't you just go in and you get a shotgun and protect yourself? And he actually went in and bought a shotgun, and I remember he bought a Webley & Scott shotgun, and Webley & Scott is a very, very historic name in firearms, and they carry a very large price, but they are not the same Webley & Scott of yore. Now they're made in Turkey and then finished by Webley & Scott.
Right.
And I know that the shotgun that he bought was about $1,200 on that TV show. And, this is a cost-effective alternative to the AR-15 that's costing you, $3,500 right now, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I just,
Well, the idiocracy knows no bounds. So, speaking of shotguns, while I was at the local big box, I did look at the Remington 1187, and you'd be happy to know the price on that is a stable $700.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they have many of them?
They did, and that was actually kind of their least expensive semi-automatic in 12 gauge. I asked them if they had some of the Mossberg semi-autos, and they said, well, they probably have them online, but you buy that and it just comes to the store and you go pick it up and fill out the paperwork. It's one of those things where they do have a previously owned firearm section, but it was a lot of Mosin Nagants. They had a couple of Japanese Arisaka. I didn't see any Mauser 98s, so I was interested in, there was another group of customers there, and they wanted to ask about the Mosin Nagants, and when I saw the price tag that they had on it was $350.
Wow!
Oh man!
I kept to myself, and I almost slack-jawed, sat there and watched their conversation, and never once did I venture to say anything, because I wasn't going to ruin the guy's sale. But I keep going back to that thing we talk about week after week, is know the value on what you're going to purchase, or know what whatever you're going to sell is. And these guys were listening to him, and he was buying in on it hook, line, and sinker, and I was just like, wow. Oh God, I wish I had a Mosin Nagant to sell you right now.
Speaking of used weapons, Mike, I was going to ask you a while ago, when you were at the gun show this weekend, Did you see many used shotguns and used deer rifles for sale?
I saw a lot of deer rifles for sale, and they were all really nice. They would have been fine makers. There was a lot. There was Seikos. There was Finbar.
Yeah,
I did see that. There were Carl Gustav rifles. There was a lot, but they were in really odd European calibers. 6.5 by 55.
Yeah, that's a standard Swedish War Factory caliber. So when
right,
you hear people talk about a Carl Gustav, 9 times out of 10 it's chambered in 6.5 by 55.
Right, but that's not necessarily a highly stocked round at Walmart.
Yes and no. Yes and no. It may not be there in a lot of different loadings. You may have it in whatever the one standard load is. You're not gonna see the grain differences like you would say, maybe a 36.
I can honestly say I've never seen that at a Walmart near me.
Yeah, we actually have it up by us. I've seen it, and they usually stock it real close to the 30-30.
Okay. Well, it's just caliber for here. I'll tell you, shotgun-wise, there was a lot of older shotguns, and on the new table, it would have been tactical shotguns. There wasn't a whole lot of hunting shotguns on the new tables, and the guys who had hunting shotguns private, they were asking a pretty penny for them, $600 and up.
Right.
I did see everybody's most desired shotgun out there, the Keltec KSG, and that was coming in at a cool $1,100 for a shotgun that may or may not work for you.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those being offered in some of the online gun broker type things, and most people want between $1,000 and $1,200.
Yeah, they were asking a cool $1,100 even, and I don't know. That's not my thing. It is impressively short.
Right. Well, it's a bullpup style shotgun
with twin magazines that may not work.
I think what is it? The magazines hold 14, and then you can sneak one in the pipe. So it's a 15 round.
I think the magazines hold 8. To be honest with you,
is it okay? Yeah, like I said, I've seen them. I've never physically held one in my hand.
Yeah, and the thing is, they may not work. I'm really trying to impress that they've got a reputation for failing, and an $1,100 plastic shotgun should be your first clue. But
yeah, I really don't like an $1,100 club.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing them as low as 900 online. I'm seeing them as high as 13. So, yeah, I guess.
I tell you, I'll say again. I think I said it before with you guys on the show. As far as a shotgun to keep in the house for home defense, I really like the Youth Model 20 gauge 870. Man, it's such a nice short little gun, and just really nice inside the house. I tell you what, that's the one I grabbed first.
Yeah.
I'm kind of partial when it comes to a pump shotgun. I like the Mossberg. I just like the way the controls on the Mossberg are set up. I think the 870 and the 500 Mossberg have about the same reliability. I like the price savings on the Mossberg, and I like the control. And I think maybe I like the controls on the Mossberg because it's cheaper.
Yeah, well, that's going to help you buy more ammo. That's for sure. So one of the cool things about the Mossbergs is they do make them in the slug and field variety. So you can actually pick up two shotguns, in essence, for the price of one, because you can get that slug barrel and you can get the field barrel.
I think Mossberg has a deal where you get 3 barrels. You get a slug barrel, you get a field barrel, and you can have an 18-inch quote unquote riot barrel. For home defense, 18 and a half. Which I'll tell you what, a 18 and a half inch barrel on a shotgun is pretty handy.
Yeah, you're not going to bang that into a lot of doors.
Like, yeah, and, 20 gauge or 12 gauge, I've read an article before by Ayub, and he claims the only way you can tell the difference from the wound is counting the pellets. And, the difference between a 12 gauge and a 20 gauge.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that. I've long believed that anything you can do with a 12 gauge, you can do with a 20 gauge.
Oh, certainly. And that's one of the things that I talk to some of the folks that I have on a hunting forum, and there's a lot of different opinions in why a 12 is better than a 20, but everybody that says they started out thinking that, and then they went to the 20 and say, yeah, you can talk all day long, but you know what? When it comes down to it, after a while, shooting a 12 gauge hurts, where shooting a 20, you can do it all day and then some.
Oh, heck yeah. Look at those guys that go down to Argentina and shoot 1,000 doves a day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Look what they're shooting. They put them 12s down real quick.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think those guys usually shoot like a 28 or like a 32 or a 410, don't they?
I've seen them do the 20 and the 410. That's one of the things that when it just come down to volume of birds, those doves that are swarming the skies down there, it's like the old Baghdad air defense. You know what I mean? You're just shooting up in the sky and you're going to hit something.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the guys are running a marathon too. They got a kid that sits next to him, does nothing but load shotgun, and they hand him a new shotgun, or a loaded shotgun. He don't even have to stick shells in anything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one of those all-inclusive hunting vacations. We should all be so lucky to do that once in our lives.
Some of those are pretty nice.
Keep playing the lotto so you can take me and Mike with you.
yeah. That would definitely be cool. I think that when it comes down to it, when you've got enough dove, what you got to do with it is obviously wrap it in bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, dove and quail pairs nicely with a nice red and a lot of bacon.
Bacon and go ahead and throw a little bit of cream cheese and maybe a skinned jalapeno on there.
Oh, you're going hard. A lot of guys like the chives or.
I like the dove Diablos and the duck Diablos. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a little dove hunting down there this weekend too. There's a few flying. There's some peanut fields and right around that ranch we were hunting, and my cousin was wanting to do some dove hunting, and his father-in-law come in, and we shot a few, but they just wasn't flying good enough to keep my interest, so I went right back in the brush again. And I did end up shooting a little 6-point buck, a little cull buck, 4 on one side, 2 on the other.
That's a trophy monster out here.
Yeah, I shot him with my cousin's 22-250, and he ran about 50 yards and finally crumbled up. Shot him in the heart also. He was moving, chasing a doe. The only 2 deer I seen, I shot one of them. I kind of felt bad, but it was still early on in the hunt there. We were there 4 days, 5 days, something like that.
Yeah.
And I ended up shooting another sow hog too, about 150, 175 pounds.
Oh,
shot that one right in the head.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Right now, especially overseas, I've gotten some reports from some of my associates over there, and the snow is hitting the ground. One of my partners took his Antonio Zoli 30-06 rifle out. This is a rifle that was probably manufactured in 1976, so a year before I was born. I've actually shot a deer with that. But that 30-06 round does a number on the wild boar out there. And wild boar are tough animals. And that 30-06 puts them down every time.
Oh, most certainly. Yeah, I shot the last one, my 270, and I don't play, I'm used to that gun. Anytime I throw that gun up, it's just one of those ones. I've had it so long, you just know it's going down,
Well, and that's one of the things I think Michael and I we haven't covered is the 27 caliber rifle. That's something that I think a lot of people will use it, and that will be their deer rifle for life.
Well, I'll tell you what, 270's a very popular choice in this area. If you've got a used 270, it'll sell in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I personally haven't seen any 270s for sale. I'll see 308s for sale. I'll see 243s for sale. Never, ever, ever see 270s.
Yeah, now that you mention that, that's true. You don't see many on the used market, I guess. I've had mine since I was, I guess, 21, 20 years old or so. I saved up my tip money. When I first started working on the boats, I saved up my tip money one summer, and that's what I went and bought myself. Bought myself a Savage Model 110 270. I'd been hunting with a 218B all my life, growing up, and decided that's it. I was stepping up to a bigger gun so I could reach out a little further.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Been totally satisfied with it. I mean, I've shot deer and hogs, and coyotes, all kinds of, but biggest thing, hogs. I guess the toughest critter I've shot with would be a hog, and that's a devastating round. And big target shot with it plenty too, and shot coyotes, and heck, it's not a tack drive or anything. It doesn't put them one right on top of the other, but it's just one of them ones when I throw it up, I know I'm going to hit what I'm shooting at.
Yeah. Well,
how much meat did you take over this hunt?
Well, I got those 2 sows and a buck, so it's one 100 quart totally full of meat, and the other one's about half full. So that buck will probably bone out 50, 60 pounds of meat, and each hog will probably bone out about 60, 70 pounds of meat. So, heck, close to 200 pounds, I guess.
200 pounds of meat. Now let's take a look at.
Oof. That's some good barbecue.
150 pounds of pork. That's looking at that's $450.
Yeah, that's
$450 in savings. And venison, I guess you can compare venison to beef. 50 pounds of meat,
$3 a pound too.
And that's if you get the crappy hamburger meat. If you get the very lean, low fat hamburger meat, that's closer to $7-8 a pound.
Yeah. Well, you're usually looking at I'd say probably about $7 a pound for good wild boar meat, whereas you're looking probably $4 to $5 a pound for venison when you do it in Germany. I'd love to be able to sell that stuff over here.
Well, no, I mean, look at the savings to his family. I mean, that's a big chunk of meat.
Yeah, that stuff's going to go straight into the freezer, and you're going to be able to feed the family for a long time after that.
Yeah, we'll make sausage, and a lot of the deer meat, of course, minus the back straps, I'll grind up in a chili meat. That's what we use the most of. And I'll probably make, like I say, I'll make some sausage and make roast out of most of it, the pig.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll end up eating it all. Heck, it was time to go hunting again, believe me. No doubt about it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you got out there and we're successful. We're looking at, coming to the end of the year here. I wanted to go ahead and throw this out. The Stars and Stripes newspaper, which serves our military communities overseas and in the States, they put out their top 10 list of most viewed stories from 2014. And number 2 on the list was the April 28th story about the Pentagon going ahead and deciding to destroy $1 billion worth of ammunition.
Well, what a deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
What did they destroy?
This was going to be mostly 5.56 ammunition.
Why couldn't that have been turned around and sold on the civilian market?
Well, we're not going to go ahead and put that out there. So, they needed to automate the process, basically, and one system in the government can't talk to the other system, so they can't really say what they have and what they're going to get rid of. And basically, it comes down to ineffective accounting. They can't say what they have and what they're going to lose. But we have at times had limited amounts of 50 caliber, 9mm. So you got a crew served weapon, which is your 50 caliber, and you got a personal weapon, which is your 9mm. And at times we haven't had enough on hand for our folks downrange. So, this story received quite a bit of press, and amongst the military folks that read it, was the number 2 viewed story throughout the year. And having happened at the beginning of the year, and considering some of the things that went on, that's saying something.
Well, there's never any end to the idiocy that the government is involved in.
Yeah.
CMP prices are going up on
if you
February
can even
5th.
if you can even find anything still available.
There's a lot of stuff available. It looks like it's just all 6-8 weeks out for delivery, and it's of dubious quality anymore.
We'll see, and that's one of the things. A lot of folks that I know, they were very interested in getting those M1s. They wanted those M1s. Even some of the 22s that the CMP had available. It's hard to find that stuff right now.
I think the CMP's 22 now is a Mossberg or a Savage.
I've seen them Mossberg.
They don't have any surplus anymore. It's all brand new stuff, and it doesn't look like the CMP's got any 410 or any 22 long rifle in their inventory as well.
Yeah. Well,
and you used to be able to buy 22 long rifle and 410 from them really, really cheap.
Right. Well,
I think I'm divesting myself of the 410 round.
It's time to hang it up.
Yeah, I don't have much use for it, and I've got quite a bit of it, and I don't really ever use them. And when I do use them, it's just for, it was fun to go out and blast those.
Yeah.
I put.
There's only so many snakes you can shoot.
Well, and it's not even the snakes. It's they end up getting used for target shooting more often than not, and it's just a little too expensive to target shoot with those, and it just doesn't have enough oomph.
Yeah.
So
it's fun. My cousin still has the single shot 410 I bought him when he was a kid, the one I went hunting with this weekend. And when we get together to dove hunting every now and then, it's fun to break it out and just kind of show off in front of everybody. I guess you let one get kind of close and go ahead and cover it up with a 410, and it's a novelty, I guess. But yeah, way too expensive to shoot doves at on a regular basis, or even a kid. If I had a kid now, I was starting off in hunting, I wouldn't buy him a 410. I'd get him a 20 gauge right off the bat. Or her, either way.
Certainly, and that's one of those things that 20 gauge is very versatile. We've said it a lot. That's something that a young shooter can go ahead and get familiar with, and then carry that into adulthood. That's just a good deal.
This youth model 870 I bought my son. Heck, you can buy the adult furniture and stock and foregrip and put on there and make it full size if you want. So it's definitely one that can grow with them for sure.
Yeah. So Michael, you were talking about the CMP there for a second. I did see that they did have a price drop in the field grade M1 Garands, because previously those hadn't been available, but now they have them available in 3 to 9 months, placing the order for $595.
9 months away.
Yeah. So if you really want that M1, you can get it for next to nothing at nearly $600. Or you can go ahead and move on up to the next grade, which is a service grade, and that is $700 at 2 to 6 months' time. And then from there, you can move up to the special grade Garands, which you can either get in 308 or 30-06 for $995, and those are 30 to 60 days for delivery. So, you move on up from there, and you get to the sniper models, and those are $3,000 and $2,200 respectively. So those are both Springfield Armory.
Yeah, the CMP is no longer. CMP is no longer. Bless you. Is no longer the civilian armory anymore. Not by any means.
Yeah. So I mean, some of the folks have really done well with the CMP in the past. I think their stock is really, really limited, and when you figure in that we weren't able to get any of the Korean turn-ins back, although I wanted to tell you, I did see a Korean M1 Garand back in the States, and it had a Korean Marine stamp on it, which the individual who was selling the rifle had no idea what it was. And I was thinking very, very hard about, do I tell the guy what he's got, or do I just, let the market determine what the guy gets for it?
I'll tell you what, the market is going to bear what the market is going to bear. He can put it up for whatever he wants, and people pay for it. Nick, I'm telling you, the pricing in the firearms market is almost predictable to a fault, and that is that people will pay for what they want to pay for. There's no reason that a Mossberg 715 T22 rifle should be selling for $450 when they sell for, $209 brand new, but they sell.
Yeah. That's one thing that I'm starting to realize is that, everything sells. And whether it sells for what you want or whether it sells for what you don't want, it's just determined upon how much you need to sell it. If times are tough, you'll sell. If times ain't as tough, you'll hold on to it.
Yeah, and we may be seeing that coming up soon. Something else I saw at the gun show over this weekend was the appalling lack of, just every firearm safety rule being broken. So once again, every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically inspect it. So go ahead and open it up. Make sure that there is no round in the bang spot there. Rule number 2: don't sweep anybody with that loaded weapon. Don't point the barrel at anything you don't want it to destroy. Saw that countless times. Number 3: know what your target is and know what's beyond your target. Nick, your orange vest is going to help you being recognized as not the target, hopefully.
Yeah, 100 inches minimum. 100 square inches minimum, blaze orange.
And the most violated rule of the weekend was keep your booger hook off the bang switch. That's right, your finger does not go onto the trigger until you are ready to discharge the pistol. Every table I saw, I'd almost say that somebody picked something up and put their finger right on the trigger.
No, it's just a good place to hold on to it, They designed it like that for a reason.
It's a handy hand holder. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Something else I noticed, starting to see a lack of people asking if they can pick something up off of a table.
So they're doing the little kid at Halloween, just reaching in and grabbing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's just asinine. There was a time in this nation where people actually used to ask for permission, and I've seen that go out the window.
So I just know that there's a lot more people becoming involved with it, and they don't have necessarily the background for it. So, if in your area there's a concealed weapons course, you may wish to go take that. It's a good primer on the rules and a good follow through. And even if you don't go get the permit, you've taken the class and you've had some hands-on time and some time on the range, and been around some like-minded people. It's worth the $100. Yeah,
certainly. Get yourself familiar, just like we always say, and learning and relearning the rules of firearm safety. And then just, if nothing else, it's a networking opportunity. Get around people that have the same like ideas, and you never know. You may be able to make a deal out there.
No, that could be.
Yeah. Well, Michael, we're getting close to the end. I wanted to say thanks to Gringo for coming on. Appreciate having you out here as our special guest. And Michael, thanks again. It's a good opportunity to talk with you as always.
Well, Nick, I appreciate it, and I'd like to thank Captain Gringo as well. He's a good friend of the show and a good friend of UCY.TV.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It was great to be on, and always great to talk guns with you guys.
That's awesome. Like I said, hopefully next week I may have been able to work out a trade or two, and we may have another special guest next week. So, all our listeners out there on UCY.TV, make sure that you tune in. We'll see if we can get a good friend of the show to come on.
That'd be great. Well, hey, listen, here comes the music. I'd like to say thanks to UCY.TV. Everybody stick around. Great programming tonight, live Tuesday. Thanks a lot, people. We do it for you guys. Thanks a lot.
Buy a gun.